So this morning I worked on channeling the story of Undaudu. I know I got messy hair. Someone said, comb your hair. I need to cut my hair, not comb it. And I I channeled it. I got up at 3 in the morning. I chanted. I went back, and I basically told the story of Undaudu, where his birth was as part. The book starts off with a selection of who the champion of the three sisters are, the three sisters of the each of the members. This whole story takes place in time of Gilgamesh, actually before Gilgamesh, time before Gilgamesh, because Gilgamesh represents cities, but Gilgamesh story is in a way the time of Undaudu. Undaudu is Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is Undaudu, and the adventures is of him moving back and forth. We're in the fifth age of man. I want to talk about that, what the 5 ages of man, how that has been channeled to me, right? Because we know that the Mayan calendar is the fifth age. We're entering the fifth age of man now, Undaudu, the you and yours. The first age of man is basically from the point we were an animal, the point we became the common ancestor of the monkey and the ape, right? The second age of man is actually basically from the ape to development in their multiple stages of Homo sapiens from the ape, right? There's multiple ones from Lucy and everything else, to the point where to the island of Atlanthros that sinks because of climate change, and we are forced as Homo sapiens. That starts the second age, right? The first age, the second age. All right, so sorry, the first age. Let me redo that. The first age isn't the second. The first age takes us up to the landing. When we land is the second age. The second age of man is when we land on the mainland till the death of Shigamatra. So from basically 250,000 years ago to about 10,000. So from 250,000 to 10,000 years ago, right? 250,000 to 10,000. That would have been the second age of man. That's our nomadic period, okay? That's when all of the different Homo sapiens species on. And then the third age of man represents the death of Shigamatra, right? And the entering into the age of enlightenment, which is the establishment of cities, agriculture, all this is the third age. The fourth age of man is the industrial revolutions, the fourth estates, right? The fourth age, the four estates, first being steam, electricity, internet, and now finally AI, right? So the fourth age of man correlates with the industrial revolution. And now we're in the fifth age of man, which is the return of Undaudu, the awakening of Undaudu, and his 19 Sahdus, which were the 19 brothers that Undaudu had to kill, right? And his main brother, it's going to be you, Brock, kills himself. He's like, I'm not going to put you through it. So, that would be you in the movie, Brock. His best friend, he's like, doom. And, his other brothers are there. And they all, he has to slay them, kill them. Because as part of the ritual, right, is to select who is the most powerful, right? In Undaudu is prophetic to be the one who's going to usher in the third age of man. So there can't be multiple ones. So they all have to die. They're his brothers he grew up with, lived with, ate with. So and then from there, what happens is the awakening of him. He realizes that it's kind of like his story, and then he's having to fight the creature, right? To one of the sisters, or three sisters, right? Three witches, three sisters. So to one of the sisters, the oldest sister who's the Cthulhu, and he tries to tell her no, because he fights Shigamatra and realizes it's just an animal, and we can kill this animal. And he gets a whooping he's never had in his life. He's like, well, fuck, screw him. So now you can't tell them. They all want to believe their dogma, their bullshit. So in multiple occasions, he fights Shigamatra, and he's got a worthy opponent. He cannot kill Shigamatra. Is intelligent, much more powerful, stronger, fast, nimble, right? So and that's how the book ends, is with him basically getting whipped and kind of waking up to the sunrise after he's had the whooping of his life, barely alive. He looks up at the sun coming up over the horizon. He has now become a Tao. He's awake, right? He's never been awake. He's always been a doubting Thomas. He's finally, I'm awake. The second chapter of the book starts with the story of humanity. It talks about from the point of view of Shigamatra, who is the Alpha and the Omega of the mammoths. And in this story, what happens is Shigamatra talks about how there was, harmony on the planet, and then all of a sudden, these apes started showing up. These careless apes, and he talks about their origin off Somalia. There's a whole network of islands, and we know for a fact that our oldest DNA is right there on the island off Somalia. And if you look at Google Maps, there's a whole network of islands there. And the final island that went down, guess what? Was Atlantis. I call it Atlanthus. Changed the name, right? So because of climate change and everything else, all our adaptation, the spear, all of this, and I've got work on called the Semi-Aquatic Ape. So all my work on the Semi-Aquatic Ape kind of comes into this book, and it talks about how we evolved through our up-nose nose, all this Elaine's work. I can't Elaine's last name. How we all hair, how we were, we lived in harmony. We had no predators. Our only predators was the shark, the snake, and the spider for the most part. Right? That's why we hate them so much. Lions and cats and all that. We didn't meet those until we ended up on the mainland, some 300,000 years ago. And then all of a sudden these creatures came, and they just started devouring and greed and believing that they have, that the planet's theirs to do with what they want, all that stuff. And after thousands of years, from 250,000 years, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years go by. Shigamatra is an ancient, right? This knowledge is passed down from her mother and so on. That's why she's known as the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. Yeah, because she's the matriarch, and and the story of the Ouroboros comes out of this. The story of but to Shigamatra, it is the Ouroboros is the head of the Ouroboros is humanity, right? Destroying all of the creatures, and the foretelling that basically we're going to eat everyone off of the planet. In her point of view, there's she's just it's kind of like common sense. So. She decides to take her family, and again, this is based into fact. There is an island off. He takes the family to the New World, so she takes the last of the mammoths to the New World, to an island off of Alaska, off of Canada. There's an island there where the last of the mammoths were, and she leaves her family, and she basically decides to take on humanity and stomp it out and destroy it. Okay, so. And that's basically how it ends. She's walking, into the sunset, right? Into the, to fight humanity. And that's the second age, basically how the second chapter ends, I believe. And then the third chapter basically starts with actually no, she goes there, she fights the whole part, I missed the whole part here. She comes back And that's her. All that should be kind of like her memory. Okay, she didn't physically. We're not. It's her memory, how she left her family there and everything else. As for thousands of years, she's been trying to stomp out and being highly intelligent. She would come by the river, darkest nights, and you know, and her biggest rival, her biggest threat was Undaudu, who and she was trying to kill the three sisters, destroy the three sisters who had destroyed all her, to stop the prophecy of the third age of man, the age of kings, from coming true. So that whole kind of the book ends there with how does the book? I can't remember. I did the book. I'm trying to do the story now from memory. So she Undaudu really he gets really beaten up, and that beating is what wakens him in the first book, and then the second book, Story of Humanity. Then she's reflecting on all this, and maybe there's some scenes where she's trying to destroy, stomp out, like how clever she is, and she realizes she can't, and she decides to deny the three tribes killing her. So she decides to go up to the tallest mountain. So, and you see her walking, maybe that's where she's walking away. She's old, she's walking up, right? She doesn't get very far, and she kind of, oxygen levels, she's not, she doesn't know about oxygen level and stuff like that. She's never climbed Everest before. She collapses, and she said, well, the snow cover. And then there's a scene change, and all of a sudden, you see word gets to Undaudu, who now, remember, is awake, that the beast has been found. The beast has been they're like, oh, he's up there, look. And they're too scared to go up there, and he was, Shigematra was still very active, or she would probably be able to chase down, and was active, and was living as far away from man as she could, in a very desolate place. So Undaudu knows it's just the mammoth, and he returns. The creature's been found. It's at the mountain of Shigamatra. Shigamatra is the Sanskrit for Everest, the name of Shigamatra, right? So you're like, right? So that's when each of the men are sent to slay Shigamatra, starting with Magi, then the seer, the three sisters, sends the chieftain's oldest son with his 19 most powerful, right? His man. Now, here's a choice. Either Undaudu I think Undaudu basically kills them all. So every set he goes out, meets them, and like one man against 19, and that's how powerful he is. He kills the son, because you imagine that in the book has to be them making fun. I mean, he is the most highest ranking he's a threat in a way to the oldest sons. They've got the 19 brothers. He lost his 19 brothers. The representation, kind of the reliving of his own, destiny. So I like the idea of him, and it may be kind of cool, him going out, and each of these oldest sons could each have personality and character, and then he is slaying them. That's one option. Number two option is that they actually make it, and Shigamatra is still powerful, and she kills them all, and maybe one or two of them get away, and he slays them when they come back or something, right? Or maybe the son, that'd be interesting. The Undaudu, oh, so happy to see you. And he goes up and just sticks a dagger in his throat, right? Me too. I'm sorry that the beast killed you. So, and that's to also show kind of the kind of person that Shigematra or Undadu is not one to be played with, and he wants revenge on them. Years go by, and the maybe that's how the books, and then the third book starts with again the dark solstice, which is the solstice that he was born on, where he reflects back on, where all the women or the 19 women are brought in, and the chiefs have an orgy with all these women, and on the children born or the next warriors, right? Only in the case of Undadu are they slain. So in all the other cases, they are trained from each one, right? They all have they become the champions of, so each chieftain has 19 of these warriors. So for Undadu, this is kind of a really hard time, and he already realizes that the three sisters are kind of full of bullshit and everything, and he they're having this thing, and they're gonna and he starts basically creating a conspiracy theory, whilst the three the chieftains are having their onsen, right? He's creating this conspiracy theory, and what happens is they decide, hey, the three sisters should go kill the beast, and go get him. So Undadu kind of smiles, having to go and get the beast. So that is, and then he brings them, and they're like, "You gonna go kill?" And they're like, "No." He's like, "Well, if you don't come, I have to bring you on my spear." And he's like, "Please don't come, so I can bring you on my spear." And they all come, and then the final part of the book is him